know some of you from our previous webinars, by name, of course, and welcome to all the new people who have signed in. Let me just start by saying that, and also I would like to thank Rajesh for hosting this webinar. Many of us have taken a flight, short distance, long distance. And one thing that is very, very important, which is never failed to be carried out on a flight, is the flight safety demonstration. And we, as flight attendants, our first and foremost duty on any flight is the safety and security of the passengers. And the rest of the other duties come later. And when I say we, I am speaking from my experience as an ex-British Airways flight attendant some 20 odd years ago. And many of you might recall the oxygen mask syndrome, which goes something like this, that if there is a decrease in cabin pressure, oxygen mask will fall above the panel above you. Please pull the mask towards you, put it over your nose and mouth like this, fix it up with the elastic bands and breathe normally. Please remember that before you assist somebody, you are comfortable. So I would like you to remember this, because as I go through this webinar, you will understand why I made a reference to this. Coming to the actual title of the webinar, which was Fight or Flight. Why am I using this terminology? We all know that in a situation where there's a crisis or a threat, all living organisms, which include us, of course, adopt this approach. We either fight or we either take a flight and run away from it. Basically, what happens is we have a psychological or a physiological or psychological and physiological reaction to the threat or the crisis. And as leaders, when we are faced with crisis during uncertain times, we are under pressure to respond to this. And what happens is we need to be prepared. We need to prime ourselves to respond to this. And finally, why the rule of three? Think back to many things in your life. In school days, if you took part in a race, the referee either called out 1, 2, 3, or he said, ready, steady, go. In case of emergencies, the word is SOS, 3 letters. When we want to refer to somebody, anonymously, we say Mr. or Miss XYZ. If you're going to talk about hypothetical events or situations, we say situation A, situation B, situation C. Simple things, when we are testing a mic, we say hello, hello, hello. So you see, there is a pattern of just 3 things. There is scientific evidence which suggests, even quantum science has given this evidence, it suggests that we have the capacity to remember 3 things, or at the most 4, because that is the attention span or short-term memory, the capacity, the short-term memory capacity of a human being. Beyond that, it's all in the clouds. So now I am tying all this up, the fight or flight, the rule of 3, and the oxygen mask syndrome, to start with our topic. But before that, let me quickly tell you a few words about Gateways Global and who we are. Gateways Global, as you all know, is an LLP. It's an organization that is growing steadily since 2006. We offer structured or tailor-made programs in advisory and talent management. And we cater to, suit the needs of multinational companies. Our unique selling point, our USP or our unique selling factor are in the three following areas. And the topmost, of course, as you are all aware, is family business advisory. We also deal in training programs to enhance performance and also executive coaching. All the consultants, the associates, and of course our lead partner, we have a combined experience of over 50 years plus, majority of it being hands-on. And our vision being global, Gateways Global has taken its first step in the global expansion scheme by the recent collaboration in Qatar. So coming back to the topic of fight or flight, rule of three, and my connection to the oxygen mask syndrome, what I'm going to talk about is the rule of three that leaders have to adopt or practice towards themselves and towards others. That is, three rules that leaders have to practice towards themselves and three rules that leaders have to practice towards others. Remember, the oxygen mask syndrome says, you first, others next. So without wasting much time, let us move on to our topic, fight or flight rule of three. Is everyone able to see the PowerPoint? Is everyone able to see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So starting with rule number one. Get the world off your shoulders. In a crisis, most leaders think that they are Atlas, taking the whole weight, the whole burden on their shoulders. They go into isolation and they think that they have to solve it all by themselves. But in reality, it is not possible. And it can't happen like that. Unless yours is a one-man show. But then again, if it is a one-man show, you have your vendors, you have your consumers, customers, etc. to answer to. Maybe you don't have employees to take care of, but you have these people. So whatever your situation as a leader, and when I say leader, I understand that there are leaders who have taken part in this webinar. There are leaders in the making. And of course, there are people in the webinar who have the potential to become leaders. So I welcome all of you to this particular webinar. So coming back to my point, rule number one, which is get the world off your shoulders. What I want to say is, you first need to take care of yourselves. Therefore, you need to make sure you're fit physically, you're ready mentally, and you have prepared yourselves emotionally, because the whole organization is looking up to you for a timely, sensible, and reasonable response. There we are. You've already got 3 points there. Fit physically, ready mentally, prepared emotionally to give a response that is timely, sensible, and reasonable. How will you do this? once you as a leader, because this is about you as a leader have decided, yes, I am fit, I'm ready, I'm prepared. Because you see, if you are not, then your judgments get clouded. It becomes a little, hazy, and maybe you end up making the wrong decisions. So you need to make sure that you are fit, both mentally and physically. So once you have done that, you can also connect, communicate, and collaborate. Another three: connect, communicate, collaborate. With whom? With like-minded business leaders. You can get in touch with industry-related forums. Most great leaders also have a coach or mentor. You can discuss with them. You can take people into your confidence, people whom you trust. And especially since we are into family business advisory, I would say that, you may have family members who can guide you in making these decisions. And also in this day and age of technology, the virtual community is at hand to help you make those decisions. You must take the help of all possible people to devise solutions and to implement them. This means bringing people into the confidence. You take others into confidence and make others take you into their confidence. You can ask them for help and ideas. And the most important, gaining the commitment to take corrective actions, which is very, very important. You need that commitment from them. Having said all this, some of the decisions you make may be painful. Rather, they are going to be painful. Nobody said that if times are uncertain, if you're in a crisis, all the decisions you make are going to be very rosy and everything is going to be hunky-dory. No, it is not. Some of them are going to be painful. A crisis situation, whether man-made or natural, does present risks. And it makes us think in ways that we never thought possible. Because when you're really pushed to do something, that is the fight or flight syndrome here we are talking about. You discover hidden talents, hidden energy, potential ideas that come to the fore. And who better than Swami Vivekananda? Let me sort of tell you that all through my presentation, every slide will have a little quote from a very experienced, a very learned person, because they have been there, they have experienced all these things. And therefore, their words ring true 100%. And when I say, when I look at Swami Vivekananda's quote, where he says, take risks in life. If you succeed, you can lead. If you fail, you can guide. So we've dealt this way with your own lifting off the burden off your shoulders, communicating, collaborating, connecting with people, and then trying to see what decisions you can come at. Moving on to rule number 2, for leaders to do towards themselves. Leaders must face reality. I'm sure many of you there will agree that reality hurts but it is the truth. Reality starts with the person in charge, which is, of course, you. And it also starts with you recognizing your role and responsibility towards your contributors. You need to reflect on your preparedness. You need to reflect on the preparedness of your organization. If you see a gap, you need to get working on it. You know, here, I would like to go back to last week's webinar, where Simbu was talking about communication, and she presented a case study. And in that, we realized that the team did not respond correctly simply because of unpreparedness. Because the will to win, the will to succeed is not possible without the will to prepare. So you need to look at how prepared are we. You need to look at the reality of that. In a business, timely response is the essence. It is the only way you can turn around a situation. I was just reading an article this morning from Bill Gates, and what he said was, empower the people around you. How true is that? Because it's crucial to get your teams together. Lay the cards on the table in front of them, brainstorm, and gain agreement about the immediate possible solutions to tide over. And when I say get your teams together, I mean all your employees when possible. When employees are involved at such stages, they engage 100%. You know why? Because they felt recognized not as a staff number, but as a real person who makes that contribution to the business. Inclusivity and involvement are great boosters for employee participation. Widespread recognition of reality is the crucial step before a problem can be solved. And when I say the recognition has to come from everybody in the team, and especially team leaders, because many times team leaders are not willing to tell the truth. And more than not willing to tell the truth, many of us are not prepared to listen to the truth. We all want to listen that everything is fine and everything is going all right. No. The reality is completely different. And especially during times of crisis, what happens is you're pushed to do something. Normally in organizations, and I'm telling this from my own perspective and my own experience, when things are going well in an organization, people resist change. They say, oh, well, it's going well. Why do we need to change anything? And even if we agree, or even if we do agree, we want to do some minor adaptations, like, on the surface. But when you land in a crisis, when the times are uncertain, it provides the leader or the leaders with a platform to get things done, which should have been done anyway. It offers a sense of urgency. And what happens is, those changes that you were contemplating, those changes that you were, thinking about, the implementation of those changes get accelerated because you're in a crisis. But remember, do not attempt short-term fixes because it's never going to help. And as the quote from Bryant McGill says, every shortcut has a price greater than the reward. Bryant McGill is a Wall Street Journal and USA Today best-selling author. He's also an activist and a speaker and a UN Global Champion for women and girls. So far, we have seen 2 points. One was leaders must not think that it is on their shoulders, it's on their head, that they have to solve everything. And leaders must learn to face reality. Let us come to point number 3, and that is look within you. Look within you. Are you being fair? Again, I would like to sort of remind you that many times we make decisions which are reactive or reflective, depending upon the situation. Let's take the current situation, for example, like the crisis now. It's a health crisis. So an immediate reaction, a reactive decision taken was to send all employees home and ask them to work from home. Yes, that was necessary because it was for the safety and security of all your employees, and it was for your own safety and security, right? But then when you as a leader or leaders think back and decide to take a reflective look at the decisions you made, it starts to kick in. Right. Now, I asked my employees to work from home. Were they really prepared? Again, going back to Sindhu's case, they were not. Nobody was prepared. But of course, they didn't have to work from home, but they were not prepared to even think about what was required of them. Some of the reflective decisions you might think of taking. Are you planning to ask your staff to adjust, make sacrifices, make compromises, take a pay cut? Whatever your decision, whatever your reflective decision, especially sacrifices which have to be made, you as a leader need to step up. You as a leader must make the greatest sacrifice. I've been reading again on the internet, doing some research, and I see that Apollo Tyres, the chief of Apollo Tyres based at Gurugram, he announced that the employees might have to take a 15% pay cut, and they themselves are going to take a 25% pay cut. So leaders have to lead by example. Fair enough, government and industry bodies will announce, remedial measures, etc. But that's going to take its own time. It's not going to happen right now. Your employees are looking at the help or the aid right now. Everyone is watching to see what you as a leader are going to do. Are you going to stay true to your values? Are you going to take short-term decisions? Are you going to bow down to the external pressures? Or are you going to confront the crisis in a straightforward manner? Are you going to take decisions that may be hard right now, that may be painful right now, but for a long-term benefit of the organization, that is the best decision you could have made? Some leaders may have to take retrenchment decisions. You may have to ask some employees to leave, which could be, on one hand, could be with a very heavy heart. But on the other hand, you might think it's a blessing in disguise. I'm trying to give you these examples, but you have to look at each situation on a case-to-case basis. You can't just go around and retrench everybody and say, well, that's it, go home now. You have to take it on a case-to-case basis. But as a leader, that could be the fairest decision you could have made for everyone who was involved. One thing I would urge you as leaders to remember is, when you do such a thing, do remember to gain the goodwill of your employees. Because to win in the marketplace, you need to first win in your workplace. And I didn't say that. It's actually Doug Conant. Doug Conant is the ex-CEO of Campbell Soups. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the rule of 3 for leaders towards themselves. I'd like to pause here for a minute, and maybe some of you who are leaders who are participating in this webinar would kind of want to reflect on this, or maybe share 1 or 2 of their experiences. And maybe, you know, for the benefit of all of us, including me, tell us if you have gone through any of these things. It will be greatly appreciated. Rajesh, do you think this is a good idea?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So does anyone want to say something?
Yeah. Hi, Jessica. This is Sandeep here.
Hi, Sandeep.
How I really appreciate the kind of inputs which have come in from you.
Okay.
But looking at the practical aspect of it, so let me introduce myself. I work as a general manager with Double Horse, which is Manjula's Food Tech.
That's right.
We are in this food industry, and obviously we have to take some tough calls in terms of how to operate our plants, our factories, as well as our head offices. So
correct.
Most of the insights which you have given does look good and actually sounds good. Practicality is the problem what we really look at, because now even the governments are not decided on what to do, how to go ahead. So forget leaders. I mean, I'm really talking about in a muddled environment like today, where you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Correct.
Don't you need a flexible style of leadership in this? Will you really go in with the...
That's what I meant.
Someone has to mute the audio. Voice coming in. Yeah. Okay, Jessica. Am I audible?
I lost you, Sandeep.
Am I audible now, Jessica?
Yes, 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 you are. Yes, you are.
Fair. So about the leadership style which is to be adopted. See, these are extraordinary times, and we probably need
Absolutely.
extraordinary leaders today. So I really would like to reflect more on how do you adopt a particular style, because every day you've got changing environment around you. So that's something I think probably I will borrow from you when you continue with the entire discussion going forward, because we are facing it on a day-to-day basis. We are taking it on a case-to-case basis.
Yes.
So,
that's the flexibility we need. All leaders have to adopt, because like you say, today is not going to be the same as yesterday or what's going to happen tomorrow. Correct?
Yes.
So
yes,
we
absolutely.
we need to actually come in with an open mind and see, right, what can we do with today's situation? Maybe something that you didn't even think about in the morning has happened later on during the day. What do you do about it? So we really, really need to have an open mind. We leaders must have I would say, a cohort of very trustworthy, very practical thinking, on the feet sort of thinkers in the team to kind of address these issues. As you said, at the end of this particular session, maybe we can have a little chat. I can probably answer a bit more in detail as to how we can do this. Is that good enough, Sandeep?
Absolutely fine, Jessica. You can go on. Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Anyone else wanting to say something, or should I move on to the next segment? The rule of 3 towards others.
Nobody.
Okay. We can move forward. Lovely. Right. Okay. So, rule of 3 towards others. So now, where the leader has put on his oxygen mask or her oxygen mask, because there are women leaders too. So, putting on the oxygen mask, we are comfortable, we are ready, and we are now ready to help others. And how? I would say the first and foremost rule of 3 towards others is duty of care. And what can I say about duty of care? We can't pretend that things are going to go away, especially what's happening now. We can't be an ostrich and bury our head in the sand. We can't sweep things under the carpet, because rule number 2 of leaders towards themselves was face the reality. So now you have to show that you do care. You do care. Because you owe it to your employees. You owe it to their dependents. You owe it to your stakeholders. You owe it even to your own family, a duty of care. So how are you going to prioritize? Well, again, it's on a case-by-case basis. It's a situation. If you have like thousands of employees, then you need a huge team of leaders who will take this duty of care down the line. What you can do is reveal to them the measures you have taken, the decisions you have made, and assure them that you will be cared for. Empathy goes a long way. Vidhi Kumar in her first webinar, Sindhu Ashok in her second webinar, and myself, we are all talking about empathy, because we are humans. We are humans. So we need to learn to empathize. I also remember, I think it was Sandeep yourself, when you mentioned during Sue's presentation how you have kept the lines of communication open. I would also talk about Mr. Ajish Kumar of Indel Money, when he said how they are taking care of the families of the employees. So this brings out the duty of care that employers or leaders have towards the employees, their families, you know, the guys who, the businesses, the customers, the vendors, the suppliers, all of them who are contributing towards the business. When you do things like maybe like have a video session and you share positive stories, you share inspiring anecdotes, maybe earlier situations, how you came out of it, especially for Kerala related businesses. I can recall the 2 floods we have had last year and the year before that, how business were affected. How did you come back? How did you turn around the whole thing? Any inspiring stories? If we did it then, we can do it now. Of course, this situation is different. I completely agree. But such positive reflection, such positive sharing of information boosts the morale of your employees and their families. Also, you need to remember to listen to them. It's not always you talking about them. Listen to them. Sometimes you may have to make a personal phone call. This is where I was, I'm saying about Ajesh, taking care of the families, maybe making a small phone call, not necessarily from the CEO, but a team leader, somebody who's the supervisor of the person in that family who works for Indel Money, to say, we will look after you. How about your employees? How do you show you care for them? If your business affords, you can retrain them or provide a refresher training course. Or you can allow them to upskill or relearn. Hundreds and hundreds of courses are being offered for free online. You can encourage your employees to look up at those sort of information. Another option is like relooking at health benefits of your employees. When looking at a situation like this, the coronavirus, it is so imperative. It is so imperative. It is making employees take a relook. Because at the end of the day, a healthy employee is a productive employee. And again, from the research that I have conducted, it seems insurers are saying that employee health is at the top of the charts of crucial risks faced by businesses. I'm sure some of you may agree with this, because if there is no health, how do you expect an employee to put in some kind of real productive work? It's a waste of time, waste of energy, waste of resources. Training your employees. Many companies, as a trainer, I can tell you this, many companies are not really willing to invest in training their employees. And many of them who do are doing so that there is more productivity. And more productivity means more money, more revenue. But what happens? You could train your employee and then one fine day, they just get up and leave. That is probably one of the reasons why many employers hesitate to train their employees. But I love the way Richard Branson says, train people well so they can leave, but treat them well so they don't want to. And that is precisely what I was saying, that if you care, if you show you care for them, if you show that you care for their dependents, if you show you care for their health benefits, they might think twice before leaving you, because you haven't treated them like a staff number. You have treated them as a human being who contributes towards the business. Moving on to rule number 2 for leaders towards others. Restoring confidence. We are living in a, what shall I say, an age where everything is so mechanical, everything is internet and virtual and whatnot. And it seems we are losing the human touch. We are losing that personal touch. But nothing beats the personal touch of a human being, especially where confidence is concerned. Self-confidence comes from the fact that you are being valued, that you're being respected. Your self-esteem goes up when you know people are recognizing you, when you are showing inclusivity. And how can you restore confidence? Communication. I mean, if there is one thing in this world, then that brings everybody together and connects everybody together, then it is communication. And so in times like this, communicating consistently, communicating humanely, and communicating sincerely from within your heart is what is going to restore the confidence in your employees and the dependents. Lip service is of no use. Okay, today the situation is such that we have been pushed into working from home. Like it or not, we have to. But have you, just for a minute, thought about this? I think we discussed this during Vidhi's presentation. Your employees may be facing so many difficult situations. For example, they may not have a private space to work from home. They may not have a desktop. They may not have a laptop. They may not have a very good internet connection. Some people cannot work in isolation. And working from home raises the question of compromising on confidentiality, on data protection, on security about your company's information. There's so many reasons. You need to restore confidence by bearing with your employees. Don't bear down on them, bear with them. For those people who are not very confident of working on their own, you can maybe create a virtual buddy system so that there is a cohesive force. The team continues that momentum. Support is available, and therefore you are making sure that the confidence of that particular employee who is like, oh my God, I don't know how to work from home. you're restoring the confidence in that employee. And the other very crucial employee status that I would like to bring to the leaders' notice are the remote working employees. I'm sure many leaders amongst you, or maybe some of you know of others who are working remotely. Maybe they are even out of this country, working in different time zones, working in different geographical conditions, working in different climatic conditions. The economy may be different. How do you restore confidence with those remote employees? Remember to keep them updated. Remember to keep them in the loop. Remember to keep assuring them that they are also part of your thoughts, part of the decisions that are being made. One thing leaders can do is bridge this distance between remote working employees by making available a plan that is your availability plan to these remote working employees because of maybe time zones. What does this do to them? It makes them feel that, yes, my leader is thinking about me. My leader is recognizing about me. My leader is appreciating the contribution I'm making. That even though I'm remote, I'm still a matter of care. I'm still a matter of concern to my employer. It's not like out of sight, out of mind. And when we say that we make a living by what we get and we make a life by what we give. You take a salary, you go home, and whether you live within the means of what you earn or whether you live over the means of what you earn, that's your kind of living. But things like this, which are the human kind of emotions, the human kind of feelings, our life is made by what we give to others. And this definitely will restore the confidence in your employees. And finally, coming to the third rule from the rule of three towards others. Communicating, connecting, collaborating. These words are going to be sort of, bashed about in probably every second webinar you attend. But that is the power of these words. Because without this, nothing is going to happen. Leaders have to be humble. Because humility is an act of greatness, is a sign of greatness. Being humble didn't hurt anyone at all. In fact, it shows you are respectful of others. And when I say others, it could be anybody. It could be the guy at the security cabin when you drive in through the gates of your office. It could be the top level manager like the CFO or the COO. Communicating with such people, being humble, addressing the security guard or the janitor by their name. Do you know how respectful they feel, how proud they feel that my leader remembered me by name? That will really make that person's day. My suggestion, my reference here was also to, again, to Mr. Ajesh of Indel Money when he said that his company keeps in touch with the family of the employees. That shows that you are communicating, you're connecting with everyone who matters. You need to build a connection with everyone who matters to your business. They are the ones who help your business flourish. What can you do? You can create a video and circulate it amongst, maybe you have a WhatsApp group, or maybe you can send it across as an email so that your employees and their family can look at it and be assured that, yes, my CEO, my leader is telling me this. You can, if your company permits, you can maybe share it with your vendors. How decisions were made, what actions were taken. And coming back to the rule of three, what actions were taken to recover, to sustain, and to grow. You can also involve, you can also collaborate with your other employees, and if possible with your vendors. I remember Sindhu mentioned in the last webinar, you could conduct some kind of shows, which is a good idea. But I would say maybe once or twice a week, you could ask your team of employees or vendors, if possible, if allowed, to showcase their talents, to showcase their success, to showcase the achievements that they have had. And that is going to create a positive energy, a positive situation, a positive feeling, a positive vibe among the fraternity. Appreciate the effort, appreciate the contribution that all your contributors have made in making your business and bringing it to the level where it is today. Thank them for holding the vision, mission, values. And as I said, being humble never hurt anyone. You can even request them to stay together during this difficult time. I'd like to conclude with Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa saying, a tree laden with fruit always bends low. Humility is a sign of greatness. So that wraps up the rule of three, where leaders can take some sensible decisions. And to conclude, here we are. Fight or flight? Fight. Leaders have to fight and win by doing the following in a calm yet determined. There we go. There's again another three. Calm yet determined, collaborative yet decisive, and humble yet inspiring. And what are those three? Towards themselves, they need to understand that it is okay to seek help. You don't have to bear the burden of everything. That shortcuts are always expensive in the long run. Let us face reality. Let us confront it. Let us involve, let us include our trustworthy employees or, the advice from coaches, mentors, like-minded leaders. And let us, as leaders, lead by example. Be fair, be just, be unbiased, not discriminate. Look within you. What would you have liked others to do unto you? And the rule of three towards others, showing a duty of care through kindness and empathy. Have that little human touch, give it a personal touch. Restore confidence in your employees. Restore confidence in those who are feeling isolated, restore confidence in those who are working remotely. And finally, remember, humility is an act of greatness. So establish connection and collaboration, no matter which employee is in which rung of the career ladder. Being humble never hurt anybody. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. Before I sign off, I would once again like to thank Rajesh and Sidhu. And I would like to remind you of this exciting webinar that's going to happen tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Mr. Tilman Reiger is going to be speaking to us from China on how to best reach COVID-19 post-crisis stadium. Do remember to tune in, and thank you very much for listening. Any of you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. You can either send it as a chat or you can unmute and ask me the questions. I'm ready.
I think we have Mr. Rajesh Kumar from Intel Money
Okay.
suggesting a concept, one family concept. Mr. Rajesh, would you like to elaborate a bit? Hello.
I think we lost her.
Hi, Sindhu. Sandeep here. I think Jessica's left. Is it? Seems to have.
Might be she would have lost connection. I don't think she would leave.
Doesn't seem to be on board. I just saw.
Yeah. Maybe she would have lost connection.
So.
Go ahead, Sandeep. You want to ask something?
No, I actually wanted to thank her. That's the thing I could do best. Basically, it's pretty good. I mean, the way we leaders should look at the current crisis is something which she has really drilled down. And I think they can pass on the message that no, it was a really interesting session rather. I would have made it more interactive though. And it's something which I think everyone has an opinion on how leaders would be in this stage of extraordinary times which we are passing through. Rajesh, Sindhu, thanks a lot. Anyways.
Yeah, I think even Mr. Rajesh has been mentioning a one family concept because he was chatting separately in this line. So, but we couldn't speak it out to Jessica when she was alive. So, Rajesh, would you like to add on some points to that? Yes, Mr. Rajesh.
Hello.
Yes.
Not actually, that is the two concepts I really wanted to convey in this platform. That is a one family concept is going to help the business to flourish in the post-COVID scenario. And the other one is the leaders should do the walk the talk, and they need to evolve ideas from the people, from their people. Then only we can flourish more and we can take a flight.
Correct. That's nice. So I think one of the main takeaways post this one would be to summarize it all in 1 or 2 lines. It can be said as walk the talk and consider employees as a part of your family and go together, overcome this one. So I think we can summarize it in that form.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much, Sindhu. I think something would have gone wrong with Jessica, so we'll wind up as of now.
Okay, fine. We are trying to connect. So Miss Jessica is online. So she got a message, automatically got logged out. So I'm putting her on the speaker. So she would like to have her, a few words with you before we wind up the session. So over to you, Jessica.
Yes, I'm sorry, participants, all of you webinarians, that I don't know why it happened. It just said to me that you're being logged out, and that was it. And now it's asking me to sign in again. So I'm really sorry, but thank you so much for participating. I'm sorry I wasn't able to answer your questions, but please do send the questions and I shall respond to all of you.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Over to you, Mr. Rajesh. You are on mute.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much, everyone. And in case of any questions, please mail us or even give us the chat box. We will revert back to you. Thank you very much. Sindhu.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.